Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on this video. My name is Chris. I just got done watching Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and with this second installment in the Doctor Strange franchise, we follow Stephen Strange caught in a multiverse kerfuffle when a girl by the name of America Chavez drops into his life. From here, Doctor Strange will realize the danger she is in and why it's important to protect her, leading us on a journey that'll take us through the MCU multiverse. That's all pretty much it without giving any spoilers to you guys. This will be a spoiler-free review. Make sure you stay tuned on the channel when we talk spoilers, because you watch this thing, you're gonna want to talk about a few key moments. But going into this film, it's one of the MCU films that they had up and coming that I was really looking forward to, with just that title, Multiverse of Madness. Like, they were promising some madness. The idea to have Doctor Strange traveling to different MC universes, the possibilities of what we could be seeing, was just so damn intriguing. And pair that up with the fact that it's been like so long since Doctor Strange had his own solo adventure, because his first film came out in 2016, although it doesn't feel that long ago, because Doctor Strange has been a very important character throughout the MCU, popping up in so many movies, from Thor 3, Spider-Man No Way Home, Infinity War, Endgame. So it's not really like we could have missed the guy, but it's kind of cool to see him finally get another movie. Then you start to hear what Marvel wants to do with this project, basically making the first Marvel horror movie, enlisting Sam Raimi as the director, and I would bet you that everybody hearing those details back then would go ahead and put their full piggy bank on the line and say, everybody is gonna love this movie. But I'm gonna tell you right now, there's gonna be some divisive opinions on this one. I want to start out with the positives and make it clear I am actually gonna be someone that had a really great time with this movie and liked it a lot. I'll give it to Marvel and agree here. This definitely is Marvel's first horror movie, because it is also the most bloody, gruesome, and really just the most graphic and violent that the MCU has been on screen. As far as you could go with a PG-13 rating, but there were times in this film where my jaw was on the ground, and as a horror fan, with what Sam Raimi was able to bring with his horror background, oh, I was smiling, I was cheering, I was like, no way did they just do this in a Marvel movie. I'm someone who doesn't really believe there is this thing as a Marvel formula. People want to throw that around saying that all Marvel movies are the same, when really I think they're confusing continuity and same in-universe logic with a movie that literally repeats itself beat by beat with similar storylines over and over. Even if you were someone who had that belief in the Marvel formula, this doesn't really have anything like it. This is such a different farscape than what I think people are used to with Marvel. A lot of that will be thanks to Sam Raimi, because the man definitely puts his touch on this film, whether you like some of his strengths or his weaknesses. We praise the man for everything he's given us with the Spider-Man trilogy, but we forget how campy and sometimes goofy and silly those movies were. And some of those campy elements are brought into Doctor Strange that might make people feel a little outdated, but it worked for me. I also feel like I should mention this is definitely one of those movies that is heavily impacted by a Disney Plus series. Like, I feel really bad for the people who decided not to sign up for a Disney Plus account and have not watched any episode of WandaVision, because it is almost essential viewing for this movie. Marvel is showing as their universe grows on, they're not gonna hold back for general audiences now. When getting onto the actual characters themselves, this film is pretty stuffed with them. Right away, it starts off with a bang, introducing you to America Chavez. Xochitl Gomez, who plays America Chavez, is a welcomed addition into the MCU. It's crazy sometimes how Marvel can just introduce a new character. I know that sounds a little weird, but literally here it's just like she appears out of thin air. She is just now a character in the MCU and is part of a problem that Doctor Strange needs to deal with. But when the movie goes ahead and takes the time to deal with her backstory, how her powers work, and the possibilities with her in the future of the MCU, you get really excited every time she's on screen. Heck, I'm gonna tell you right now, anything that she's involved in, I'm gonna want to see, just because her power set alone is so unique. Now, when it comes to Benedict Cumberbatch and Elizabeth Olsen, you can kind of argue this is definitely a movie divided in two. There's a strong argument to be made that Scarlet Witch's name should have been included in the title, because she is given a lot of respectable screen time and character growth, sometimes at the detriment of the main character of this movie, where the film is named after. Still, the movie to me finds a way to connect their themes together and make it work, where they're sharing the screen time and bouncing back and forth. But if I could expand a little bit on Scarlet Witch and Elizabeth Olsen, like, they did things with her in this movie I'm still conflicted on, and I don't know if they 100% work for me. I see the MCU buildup and everything that they've touched upon to lead her to where she is now in Doctor Strange, but there were definitely moments in this movie I was like, is this the same Scarlet Witch I've been following all along? Because it does not feel like her. But speaking of surprises, oh, this movie is chock full of them. Some of them, unfortunately, that got spoiled before the movie's release. But if you were one of the lucky people not to be spoiled, I'm sure your minds were blown. And at the same time, those same surprises can be the things that might take people out of the film. It should be no secret that the Illuminati is included in this movie. I won't say the specific members or who shows up. I'll leave that to you. But the Illuminati has been mentioned in the trailer, so I'm going to mention it here. I know the fan base is going to be very divided with what this movie decides to do with those characters, but I'll say right now, I actually really liked it. Not only for what happened on screen that made my jaw drop, but because this is the multiverse, man. This is like giving you a taste of what the MCU can do in the future and just do balls to the wall crazy stuff, sometimes without any consequences. But again, I'm not gonna blame some of the people who come out of the theater a little pissed with what they do. And I guess since I'm on that topic of some of these negatives, that is where the movie lies. Sometimes it feels like there's just fan service being thrown out there to excite fans, which I never think fan service is bad. It really depends on how you use it and if it's just not there to replace bad storytelling. Because I liked the story that went on here, and I liked how focused they kept it and didn't just make it a multiverse palooza. Because I'll be honest, for a title like Multiverse of Madness, sure, we see a couple of multiverses, but we don't really get to spend that much time in different universes. The one we get for sure, let me tell you, I was really happy with. I was like, oh, this is so cool, so unique, how that universe works like this and ours is like this. But I'd be lying if I said when the movie ended, I'd be like, I don't know if I'd really call this a multiverse of madness and more just like a one universe trip that was maddening. But really, just to wrap up my overall thoughts before I get to the scorecard, I like this movie, but I wanted to come out loving it. Maybe the fanboy in me, knowing Sam Raimi and my love for Spider-Man, had something different in mind, but when watching the movie, there's moments it feels like the story is a little clunky. It's messier than most Marvel films. I'm happy it took risk and it was willing to do something really different than other films, but some of those risks sometimes don't feel earned, or like they progress the story forward more than they just kind of want to shock you and bring in some fan service. But by no stretch of the imagination was this a bad movie or even a disappointment to me. It was just something I ended up liking when I was really hoping to come out loving this and being like, oh, Sam Raimi should direct everything in the MCU. So for Doctor Strange, The Multiverse of Madness, I'm gonna give action 4 stars. It's a Marvel movie, so you know it's gonna be action-packed, but they do some different things in here where it's not always just magic being thrown at your face. There are some scenes where the CGI is a little wonky, but they do things differently, and sometimes there's hand-to-hand battles in here with Doctor Strange. Comedy in the movie, I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars. If you're not a fan of the Sam Raimi campy sense of humor, you might not be laughing at everything on screen, but growing up on that type of humor in the Spider-Man films, I liked it and it worked for me. Drama in the movie, I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. This is actually a pretty simple premise, is somebody is after America Chavez and Doctor Strange needs to stop it. That's really about it. There's minor complexities and themes in here, but the story is pretty straightforward, which probably explains the shorter than usual runtime for an MCU movie. Heart in the film, you know what? I am gonna give it 2.5 stars. I thought maybe some of the first reactions were exaggerating when they said they weren't gonna take their kids to this MCU movie, but no, there are moments in here where I don't know if you want to expose that to your kids, because let me tell you, Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness could literally have a kill count. Bodies drop on screen, and they glorify it. And suspense of the film, I'm gonna give it 3 stars. Once you really see what's going on and who the main bad guy is, it does make you wonder who's gonna win by the end of this. How could this go down? How is this even gonna impact the larger MCU? Casual fans, I'm gonna give it an A-. Cinephiles, I'm gonna give it a B-. And critically, I'm gonna give it a B-. For Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, I still definitely think it's one you should check out in theaters. I still think most people are going to come out loving this movie, but there will be some caveats and things here and there that people are going to be a little upset by, and that's the kind of stuff I can't wait to talk about in spoilers to see your guys' opinion on. So be sure you're hitting that like button, subscribe if you haven't already so you can stay tuned for the spoiler review. But as always, my name is Chris. Take care.